Welcome back to Scruffy Headed Nerd Herders, episode 3. Today we got a lot to talk about. A lot has been going on this week, so let's just break it down. Callan, start us off.
All right, so first off, the Snyder Cut release date was announced earlier this morning by Zack Snyder through his Twitter account. He released 3 separate posters with slogans saying "Risen," "Fallen," or "Fallen and Risen." But it's coming out March 18th, which I assume is a Friday. So just adds to the stack of movies coming out for March. Of course, 2 weeks later, Kong versus Godzilla is coming out. So it's finally approaching. Took them long enough, but it's coming.
We're gonna release the cut.
Yeah. And apparently it's a whole 4-hour movie, so.
Yeah, no more miniseries. Because everything's been black and white so far. I honestly feel like they're gonna have a black and white version that you can watch, kind of like similar to the Logan thing. Because I feel like everything is just it's been full on black and white.
And hey, Marvel started with the black and white, so DC usually copies them. So that would make sense.
Yeah. So I guess what do you guys expect from the Snyder Cut? What are you thinking? David, how about you?
I just really hope that they clean up the shit that they left in the bed from last time. So it's just let's get rid of the crappy exposition, the horrible CGI. So I hope the CGI is good. And I hope that we get to see some new characters. I'm really hoping for Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter.
I am looking, again, also same with CGI. It was absolute crap first time around.
Attack of the Clones era.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally like early 2000s CGI. But the biggest thing for me is just either go all in on trying to expand the universe still, or just start fresh. Like, either introduce the new Batman like you wanted to, the rumors of what's his nuts coming back?
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, Michael Keaton. So, like, if they threw in a Michael Keaton or something like that, my mind would just totally explode.
That'd be awesome.
And I think that's honestly like would be like some of the coolest fan service they could do for that. So honestly, for me, the biggest thing, just give me a fan service. I don't care. Give us what we want.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, with that announcement that came out a few weeks ago that Michael Keaton was coming back as Batman for like a new slate of movies, it sounded like as an older Batman. And of course, that leads people thinking, oh, are we finally getting a Batman Beyond? Maybe, like you said, Patrick, if we see Michael Keaton in this, maybe that's the introduction to that they got something up their sleeves with Michael Keaton. I guess my biggest expectation is just more meat to the story, and just because the story is just kind of flat. And I hope you see Darkseid, which is like the true villain of the Justice League, and in addition to that rumored Deathstroke scene that supposedly got cut from the movie too. Just seeing Deathstroke wreck shop, maybe fight with Batman would be cool. So,
but they got a
whole 4
hours
hours
to tell a story now.
Yeah.
No more
excuses. Darkseid has some big boots to fill with Thanos as villain number 1 in the MCU, DC, EU universe.
Yeah. So, what a mouthful.
Yeah, right? Say that 5 times fast.
It was announced earlier this week that a Harry Potter live-action show was in development at HBO Max. No further details were revealed. 2 things come to mind with this show is, one, I would like to see maybe them kind of calling back to when his parents were in the Order of the Phoenix and kind of working with Dumbledore in their prime years, like when his parents were alive. But I think what would be the most interesting thing for a show like this would be how they found Hogwarts. So like they got all the heads of the houses, the founders of Hogwarts, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, Slytherin, Gryffindor, those founders, and how they kind of got Hogwarts started, and eventually leads to how Slytherin left all of them behind because they didn't agree with his ways. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to see.
So I don't want any connection at all to what is already established. Like, I grew up with the books. I read all the books. watched the movies multiple times. So I feel like I have a decent understanding, but like for me, like I don't want anything that has been referenced, nothing with any of the characters that we've seen. The only thing that I want to reference to is the Elder Wand. I want to see the beginnings of that, and I feel like we saw that in the movies on like the little cutscenes that they had, and I want to see that just realized, like how that all came to be, because that Elder Wand, I mean, it's pretty powerful. So I want to see the story basically of the brothers.
Dude, I'd have to say I kind of want just like a future story, like maybe an older Harry and about his kids. And the number one thing I don't want is do not back Voldemort. Like, for the love of God, can we stop bringing back villains from the dead? I want an original villain, a new problem for them to solve. And honestly, like, the biggest thing that I'm hoping for, hope we can get like some witch hunters in there, like wizard hunters. You know, I think that'd be like a cool aspect. Like, what if people started finding out about the shit they're doing and how they would react to it? Like, I think that would be a whole cool realm to look at.
A wizard boba.
Yeah.
Like,
straight in the jetpack for a broom, buddy. So, the major question, what house are you in? Pat, what house do you represent?
I've always been a Slytherin guy.
Slytherin!
Yeah, same as, like, I mean, with Star Wars, I'm dark side, so Slytherin all the way. Don't trust.
I guess that makes two Slytherins, because I'm Slytherin all the way, man.
We got a trilogy going.
Oh,
I'm also yeah, I'm also Slytherin. I mean, that shouldn't be a shock, really. I mean, it's the most metal house, so you know.
Yeah, no Hufflepuffs up in this bitch.
Yeah,
we're watching you, Gryffindors. You guys are too nice.
All hail Voldemort.
You know what? Honestly, I'm Slytherin, but I'm not that type of Slytherin. Fuck that dude. Like I ain't fucking getting a tattoo of his name on my ass. Fuck that guy.
You don't want to follow Wizard Hitler?
Nah, man. I'm just like the same thing with the Grey Jedi. Like, you guys do your own thing. Like, not all of us Slytherins want to take over the world. Now you heard, nerds. Slytherin all the way. Fuck you, Hufflepuff.
Oh man, so I guess that's a good segue into our next topic. Speaking of Star Wars, it was announced that a new Knights of the Old Republic game was possibly in the works. It hasn't been confirmed nor denied. It's just kind of word of mouth. Let's start with the biggest Star Wars nerd of all three of us, Patrick. What do you think this game is? Do you think it's a remake of one of the first two games? Do you think it's Knights of the Old Republic 3? Do you think it's a fresh take?
I think it'll end up being a fresh take. I think it'll be a new story, and we might see some references to the original too. I think maybe we'll jump a little bit forward in time, but it's still gonna stick to that Knights of the Old Republic feel. I think we're still gonna get the exact same type of combat that was, very turn-based and whatnot. But for me, the fact that this is coming back, I spent hours upon hundreds of hours in this world. Replayed both of them. The story was just so good. Just give me something that even gets us 50% of the way there, and I'll be happy. This has been rumored forever. Just get it somewhat right, and don't give it to EA. I think they already said it's not EA, but I don't want any EA involvement at all.
Yeah. Apparently, I read that EA is not involved, and hopefully that's true. So we will see.
Who's the developer you would want to see do this, Patrick? Because I assume Lucasfilm Games is going to start working with almost any developer that they can get their hands on.
Honestly, you got to go with one of the big ones, because on this kind of scale, you can't give it to a small developer like the ones that do Hellblade or a couple of those 40, 50 person studios. It just doesn't. It's not going to work. So honestly, I mean, I couldn't give you an answer. I don't know enough about all the different studios. Yeah, I mean Bethesda. I mean that'd be great, but
give it to Rockstar, dude. Give it to Rockstar. Honestly, I want Force Unleashed meets GTA and Red Dead Redemption.
Smuggling death sticks.
Yeah. And hopefully they avoid cyberpunk missteps. Like, we don't need our lightsabers popping off in random spots. You know what I mean? But or like,
I had my first insane glitch last night on Cyberpunk.
what happened?
I called my car to like come to me, and it literally just like flew across the screen and just got like stuck in the side of a building.
I hope you have a good insurance policy, man.
It was just like, I was just like, what the hell is going on? Yeah, it's buggy as hell, but makes me laugh. So yeah, definitely don't give it to CD Projekt Rect. I mean, I know the Witcher series was plagued with bugs, but this is on like a whole other level.
Honestly, I think I'm a fan of leaving the originals as an original, so I don't want to reboot or remake. I think there's plenty of other characters during that time that we can get a fresh new story on. Possibly get like the same villains, like, because they're obviously a force around there. So like Darth Revan. Yeah, Darth Revan, I think would be cool. He's my like number one that I want to see again. So I would say him, but otherwise, like, let's see what else is going on in the galaxy at that time. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, let's tell another story.
Yeah, I agree. A part of me wants this to be an open world RPG where you create your own character and you kind of just explore the world of Star Wars. However, I'm not entirely sure how they would make that work with your character being your own creation canon in the Star Wars universe. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if they were to do this, it would be cool if they gave you control of a character like Revan and they made it a game very much like God of War, for example, where it's open world, but it's not too expansive where you get lost too much, but it's linear to the point where you can spend a good 5 hours like exploring on the side, which you can do in God of War, which would lead me to want to maybe see Santa Monica Studios, who are responsible for God of War, to maybe do it.
Don't do that, because then it's a PlayStation exclusive. Please no.
Guess you gotta buy a PlayStation then.
Yeah, and
look at the Arkham games.
Rocksteady, that would be. They would actually be
a really good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like you said, Rockstar, because you said the whole like linear but still the freedom to explore. I mean, that is essentially GTA and Red Dead. Like there's a linear path, but there's so much to do on the side. So that developer definitely does make sense too, just like David said.
And two things I would hope for is number one, no loot boxes like Battlefront. Let's avoid that shit. And then I hope we get the customization that we saw in Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh yeah, like customize your own lightsaber, that sort of thing.
Yeah, lightsaber, your robes, your character, like they gotta go
not
all
just
in.
Ponchos.
No man, it's just a different colored poncho. So next subject, Wandavision, episode 4. What did you think, Pat? Let's hear it.
Talk about a 180 from the first 3 episodes. I mean, it delivered on pretty much everything that we were saying last week, giving us some answers that we wanted to hear, at least, exploring those different answers, confirmation that Wanda is the one doing all of this, as far as what is Monica, right? Her name? As far as Monica knows. We got ties to Thor, Captain Marvel. We now know the time period because it takes place right as Endgame was going on with the snap. One of my favorite parts was like, can you get me one of those TVs, not the flat ones? I thought that was really cool, like how it literally was like they were watching the exact same thing that we were. So I'm going to go up in my rating to an 8 out of 10. And I'm really excited to see where this goes.
Oh boy. Where do I begin? I do appreciate how they kind of play off the fact that the whole sitcom thing is pretty silly and how it kind of like how they were like, so the universe made a sitcom, that sort of thing. And I like like Patrick said, I appreciate the connections to Thor. Seeing Kat Dennings back since Thor: The Dark World, the sequel, was cool to see, and then kind of seeing that plot twist of the little girl from Captain Marvel being grown up now, working for Sword. The fact that Wanda's the mastermind behind the whole thing and how she's just kind of mourning the loss of Vision still is a very interesting take on the character and with the show in general. So I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, he's liking it more and more every episode.
Hey man, it could go down to a 4 next week.
That's
so
true. My initial thought was, oh snap. Pun intended. But I love how they started off. I love how they started off with the blip. I love that they brought in Jimmy Woo. He was one of my favorite characters in that Marvel universe, the FBI agent that was in Ant-Man. And I love how it started out with the card trick. I don't know how into it you guys are, but like literally he was asking Ant-Man how the hell he was doing that. And then he was practicing it in the film. And then now, like, right when he saw Monica, he started with that card trick. And I was like laughing. I love how Marvel really, they're like so intricate with what they do. And they're always thinking like 5 steps ahead and everything's interconnected. And small little jokes like that are just like great fan service. So gotta respect what Marvel does there. I love that they brought back Darcy from Thor, because who doesn't love them some Kat Dennings. Just seeing Vision's head, like seeing what actually, like my thought is like, damn, is that like really him? Like she just like floating his body around and just like imagining it different. But I thought it was cool that we actually got to see, okay, Vision is dead. That stone's out of his head. And my biggest hope now is just seeing her actions and everything that's going on. I think they're setting up Wanda to be the villain, the next big bad. Because if you know the comics, House of M is a very popular story, and she is the villain. Like she's bad. So I think they're setting up Doctor Strange 2, which when you think about it, he may be the only one that can stop her.
Yeah.
Like we're going to see Harry Potter versus Voldemort, like in full form with those two right there, man. It's going to be a magic showdown. So
yeah,
I'm excited to see where it goes from here. My rating, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 now. I'm all in.
To what you said, David, it's interesting how they're making her kind of like the big bad, or at least that's what it appears to be.
I mean, because when you look at it, she lost Cap, she lost Tony Stark, who were like the 2 people that took her in and helped her out. She lost her brother, she lost Vision. At this point, she literally has nothing else to lose, and I think she might be losing her mind.
So now to close things out, the weekly recommend. So just a reminder, we're each going to recommend something that we all think you should check out and that you might enjoy.
So my weekly recommend, I recommend that you invest in 2 things. 1, the stock market, so we may feed off the tears of billionaires. And 2, invest in yourself, because honestly, who else is going to? We all had a rough year, so I feel like right now we really need to focus on our minds, our bodies, our souls, and just better ourselves every day. So invest in the stock market, in your health, and in your mentality. So just do it.
My recommend is the show Search Party on HBO Max. Was on TBS originally. We just finished the first season. It is totally like just easy fly through episodes, 20 minutes each. Pretty funny, interesting story. No idea how it's supposed to keep going for 4 seasons, but we're invested. So Search Party, HBO.
I'm going to recommend a book. It's called Cherry by Nico Walker. It's a semi-autobiographical novel about a guy. He actually wrote this in prison. He is serving a prison sentence right now. It's about the opioid epidemic. He was a veteran, and when he came back from the United States, he just kind of kept going on the opioid epidemic and his opioid addiction. And he starts robbing banks for money to get his opioids. It's a very chaotic book. It's a very fast page turner. I finished it in 3 days when I read it last year. It's very gritty and very I guess the word I could use is nasty. It's not for the faint of heart. The movie's coming out in March, on March 12th on Apple TV Plus. The Russo brothers are actually doing it, and Tom Holland is in the lead. So it's going to be very interesting for him to play a role like this, and because the character is not very likable at all. And we all see Tom Holland as like the superhero Spider-Man Peter Parker. So seeing him doing something very serious and real will be interesting. But that's my recommend, Cherry by Nico Walker.
Well, everyone, hope you like this episode. Like, subscribe, check us out, and stay up to date on our episodes. We'll keep them coming out. The nerds have been heard. Court is adjourned.
Bye-bye.